before I get into the topic of this video, I do want to send a huge thank you to Aporia.017 for being my first ever super thanks on my channel. I recently turned them on just in the hopes that maybe a few people might want to drop $1 or $2 here or there if they're feeling generous. Never did I think that I'd get a $50 super thanks for my first one ever. So thank you, Aporia, but also thank you to everyone that's been watching the last month or so since I've been making Borderlands content on a daily basis again. Been having a lot of fun with this comeback to YouTube, and I want to thank you guys for making this comeback to YouTube so much fun using my secret punch Randy Pitchford in the face until he responds YouTubing style. But going forward, anybody that does leave a super thanks in the comment section of my video, I will go ahead and toss that as a shout out to you guys in the next video that I render and put up on my channel. But without further ado, what's up guys? Jay, MorninAfterKill, and I'm back with some more Borderlands news and information. The other day, I dropped a video talking about the Embracer Group putting Gearbox up for sale just 2 weeks after dismantling Saints Row developer Volition due to poor performances and backlash against Paige Schill's gatekeeping opinions within the Saints Row Reddit community. And I compared the happenings in the Saints Row community to exactly what's going on with Gearbox Software and why the Embracer Group is looking to sell them. But, as always, I get the Gearbox community apologists coming in the comment section saying, clickety-clack, Mac! It's not true! The Embracer Group bought the rights to the Lord of the Rings trilogy recently, and they spent too much money, and they have to sell companies to make it back because the Saudi investor group Savvy Games backed out of their investment opportunity. And, yeah, you're right. That is exactly what happened. But, like I said before, that's what the news is telling you. But the numbers don't lie. The news does. So let's go ahead and take a look at the numbers. Embracer Group bought Gearbox in April of 2021. And since then, Gearbox has released Wonderlands and new Tales from the Borderlands. But clickety-clack, Mac! What about Borderlands 3? Borderlands 3 was the fastest selling game for 2K games ever! Yeah, that's true. But it also came out in 2019. You can't count the sales for Borderlands 3 in this equation because the Embracer Group purchased Gearbox after the content cycle for Borderlands 3 was completed. And I would love to show you the sales figures of Wonderlands. If 2K ever fucking releases them, they just took to the news to say it's outdone their original sales expectations. Once again, I told you, the news lies. And considering that Wonderlands was made by a smaller development team with a smaller development budget than Borderlands 3, it didn't need as many sales as Borderlands 3 to be considered a quote-unquote profitable success. But it's certainly not printing money hand over fist like Borderlands 2 and Borderlands 3 did. Because if they were, Gearbox and 2K would be out there on their soapbox grandstanding, pointing out how much sales that Wonderlands actually did. Because Gearbox and 2K loves using unit sales and figures to advertise their product successes. But if we look at Gearbox, they've made an average of 50 to 60 million over the last 3 years. So yeah, it definitely did not do anywhere near what a Borderlands game sells and what the Embracer Group was expected. If I was a shareholder, personally myself, I'd be worried about why they're not being transparent with their sales figures publicly. Because to me, it feels more like company man speak for, we didn't lose money with this game, so we're going to call it a success. And we all know exactly how New Tales from the Borderlands went for Gearbox. So, if you're an investor and you're looking at the spreadsheets, and this group who just spent $400 million on the Lord of the Rings franchise rights is holding on to Gearbox, a company that they spent $1.6 billion. I'm going to say that again. Gearbox was purchased by the Embracer Group for $1.6 billion. That is 3 times more than what they spent on Lord of the Rings. And they haven't even come near recouping that money in the past few years of ownership. And that company comes to you asking for $2 billion just to recoup the money that they spent on Gearbox in the first place, on which Gearbox is estimated to have only recouped about 150 to 200 million of in the last 3 years or so of ownership. Now, I don't know about you guys, but a net loss of $1.4 billion over the last 3 to 4 years is a pretty big fucking red flag, if you ask me. If I was the Savvy Games investor group and I'm looking at that spreadsheet and I'm seeing that Gearbox was purchased for $1.6 billion, only recouped $200 million of it in the last 3 years for a net loss of $1.4 billion, I'm gonna call that pretty poor fucking performance. And it's only gonna get more interesting once Gearbox actually is purchased. And then we get to actually see what Gearbox sells for and how much the company has devalued itself in the past few years. Because I can tell you that Gearbox is not going to be sold for $1.6 billion again. They basically robbed the Embracer Group blind, selling high on the heels of Borderlands 3. But I will say this. If Gearbox had actually been worth their purchase, they wouldn't be up for sale so soon. Especially with Borderlands 4 starting development and the live-action Borderlands movie coming out next summer. So even though the news doesn't outright say Gearbox poor performance leads to sale, the numbers do. And once again, I told you, if you follow the money will lead you to the numbers, and the numbers will lead you to the truth.
And the truth shall set you free!
So, my name is Jay. MorninAfterKill. I want to thank you guys for watching. Make sure you guys rate, comment, subscribe. If you leave a thumbs up on the video, I highly appreciate it because it gives me motivation to make more videos for y'all motherfuckers that watch my motherfucking videos. But I want y'all to tell me in the comment section down below, do you really think that if Gearbox wasn't performing poor the last 3 some odd years that the Embracer Groups owned them, do you really think that they would be shopping them around right before the live action movie flop? Drops. That's a Freudian slip right there. Do you really think a Saudi investor group wants to give $2 billion to a company that last gave $1.6 billion to a company that has averaged $50 to $60 million a year in profit? Especially when they barely recouped a quarter of that money in the last 3 years. Or do you really think that these numbers I'm giving you are an indication of a well-ran, profitable company that you personally would like to sink $1.5 billion into? If so, I got some beachfront property right next to Gearbox headquarters that I'd like to sell for you. And it's well within dick-sucking distance to your Lord and Savior, Randy motherfucking Pitchford. Let me know if that describes you in the comment section down below. My name's Jay, MorninAfterKill. Thanks for watching, and I'm gonna see y'all motherfuckers later.
Badass. Now, just gotta get rid of that key.
Mine.
Wait a sec. Let me. You don't want to touch this thing right now, trust me.
Slow down, man. I nearly bought it back there. Hey, Lilith!
Where the hell were you guys 5 minutes ago? If it weren't for the Vault Hunter, we'd all be dead.
I think that's her way of saying we won.
I figured that.
If I never see this key again, it'll be too soon. It's been fun, you alien piece of shit.
What the? Are those vaults?
You know what that means.
Yeah. No rest for the wicked.